country, and I mentioned that one of my siblings went to Iona, it's usually the three of the same words I hear over and over again. I hear tradition, I hear winning, and then I hear family. Now, it's ironic I'm standing up here because Iona's had a basketball team for 72 seasons. Jim Hines, I think he might have been around for one of those early games, but okay, just one of them. Right? And I have been a part of half of them. And you're gonna say, wait, you're that old? I do dye my hair, but yes, I'm 36 years old, 43 years old, but 36 years I've been coming up here because my brother suited up for Iona in 1989. And since that time, I've always had a close connection to the program. And the different coaches that have passed through here, whether it was Jeff Ruland calling me at midnight trying to recruit me to come to school, or Tim Cluse, who had so many great winning seasons here at Iona, who single-handedly ruined my high school career as the head coach of St. Mary's while I was at St. Dominic's on Long Island. And now, a new tradition with Dan Geriot as our head coach. So pretty exciting time. So let's give Dan a round of applause. So I talked about the family element, and Pat, go way back, and he's part of the legendary, for the young guys here, go back and look at those Iona teams. Guys that went on to play in the NBA, guys that were NBA All-Stars from Iona, lottery picks. So there's an amazing tradition here, but the landscape of college basketball is not the same tradition that it once was. And I was talking to an administrator here, and I asked him straight up, I said, what makes President Carey special or unique? What's his best quality? And he said, he has an amazing vision for the future. So, wow, I just heard that tonight. I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. Because what's happening here at Iona is different than the tradition that we've seen in the past. It's a new landscape. And I have to give all the credit in the world to President Carey, his staff, the athletic department. They realize that this is a new opportunity, it's a new world. And hiring the first ever men's basketball general manager, Craig Moore, where you're at, Craig, raise your hand. And then hiring a staff that everyone complimented one another in this new tradition. So you got a school that has a vision. Now you have a basketball program that has a vision. And I understand for some of you longtime fans, some of you quote unquote old school fans, it's hard to understand. But these are the rules. So now we, as Iona, have to adjust with the times. From a school standpoint, the school is crushing it, developing, expanding. Everything is going in the right direction. And when I see this basketball program, I see the same qualities. And it gets me excited. So we appreciate the boosters coming out, friends of the program, people that have given, but now it's time to step up as we move forward. And I know it's unusual, it's not what we're used to, that's not how things have been in the past, but this is how it is now. And when I go across from Des Moines to San Francisco to St. Mary's to Drake, there is an opportunity, I think, in college basketball for Iona to go this way. And when you look at the league championships and the crowds, Maroon Madness was packed. There's an energy up here, and you're in the greatest city in the world. So when I see this, I don't get on an airplane and come out here to speak to you unless I'm passionate about it, and I've been close to this program for 36 years. So it means a lot, and it's cool to see something adjusting with the times, evolving with the times. But now it's about building something that's sustainable. Sustainability is a word that is tough to find in this college basketball landscape. And when I look at this roster, I got a chance to watch practice, saw the practice over the summer. I see guys that are sophomores. I see guys that are freshmen. I see guys that are juniors. And you're like, oh, I think the team's going to be pretty good this year. We're going to talk to Dan Doyle a little bit later about their win against LaSalle. But I see a level of sustainability which is so hard to find in college basketball. I'm pumped for the season. It's right around the corner. We're going to get Coach Geriot up here to talk about some of the players, some of the key games. But first, I want to turn it over to Iona Athletic Director Matt Glovaski. Give out some big-time awards. Go ahead, Matt.
It's awesome to have you here. My job is simple tonight. It's really to say thank you. Again, I never take nights like this for granted. There's so much that happens behind the scenes. There are so many people who give of themselves to make the success of our student athletes possible. And it's evenings like this that we really get to say thank you and show our appreciation. So sincerely, on behalf of all of us at Iona, and most importantly, these young men who are working incredibly hard to represent the maroon and gold, we say thank you. There's one person I always like to say thank you to, especially this time of year. As Tim mentioned, the landscape has continued to change. We are focused on ensuring that we have great opportunities, great resources to support our student athletes with NIL. But none of that would be possible if we didn't have an outstanding collective run by Jim Oates. Jim could not be here. He's actually at a college fair with his daughter tonight. But when you see Jim, please take a moment to say thank you, because he gives so much of himself so selflessly, so much of his time, and he has been the backbone of our collective for the last 3 years. And so our success as a program simply would not be possible if we did not have outstanding people like that. So please, when you do get a chance, say hello to Jim and say thank you for all that he's done. He's been terrific. Again, my job tonight is simple. We have incredible people behind the scenes, and tonight we get to recognize two very special people who have really gone above and beyond to support not only our basketball program, but all things Iona. And so I'm honored to give those two awards tonight on behalf of all of our student athletes. We're going to give one right now, and then we're going to give another one at the end of tonight's program. The first one is our Bob O'Connor Recognition Award. And for those of you who don't know, Bob was a very special man. We lost him about 3 years ago. He was a true lover of Iona basketball. He would often get to the gym, wouldn't even tell anyone he was there. He would sit up in the seats, and he would just be there as a great presence. And he'd pull you aside and just give you his feedback and just say, job well done. And always had just great support. Loved Iona basketball, was a very close and dear friend to I know many people in this room. And when we lost Bob, as a token of our appreciation and to really honor his long-standing commitment to Iona basketball, and really all things Iona athletics, we created the Bob O'Connor Appreciation Award to recognize people, much like Bob, who go above and beyond and give up themselves to, again, make nights like this possible. So tonight, I'm very, very proud and honored to be able to present the Bob O'Connor Award to Mr. Dan Doyle. Dan is a proud Iona alumnus and former captain of the Iona youth basketball team, earning both his Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and MBA from Iona. In 2023, Dan received the Iona Legacy Award in recognition of his lifetime achievements and steadfast commitment to the university. Beyond his professional and philanthropic success, Dan has been an extraordinary supporter of men's basketball, providing transformational support of our program's NIL program and initiatives, but more importantly, bringing unmatched energy, innovation, and pride to the Gaels. For his outstanding dedication, leadership, and unwavering belief in Iona, we are proud to present the Bob O'Connor Award to Mr. Dan Doyle. Dan, thank you for helping carry forward the spirit of Iona basketball and for being an invaluable part of our community. Congratulations. So again, we'll have one more award that we'll present a little bit later in the evening. But with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Tim, and more importantly, get a chance to hear from Coach Doyle. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Matt. Coach, come on up here. Let's have some fun now. We need one more mic for Coach. You got one right there. Awesome. You can stay wherever. I don't know, we go out the crowd if you want to go hang out. So, You're in the NBA, you get the call to Iona. What was your first thought?
Is my wife gonna kill me?
Why?
We just haven't really talked about it. But yeah, I think, when the first call came and the first message was really, the biggest thing was to me was how much this place, I played here when the Richmond Spiders came up here and we lost double overtime. But I think the biggest thing in my mind right away was how much tradition and how much winning, like you said earlier, happened here. When we lost, we were reminded of it very quickly and quite often that season. But I think the whole idea of Iona to me was like, wait, I had a chance to get that job? Okay.
Yeah, and now let's jump to the schedule because you mentioned the Atlantic 10. You're going to see Fordham this year. Hofstra's on your schedule. Princeton has had some really tough teams. Was it a priority for you to play local and to get fan support? Well, what was the thought process of scheduling so local?
Yeah, I think biggest thing was probably the biggest thing was probably local-wise, yes, always, but really challenging ourselves in the non-conference. That's going to be a key here all the time. I think we have our standard of how we're going to deal with the MAC and deal with those 20 games. But for me personally, it was really trying to go out. Obviously, Paradise Jam was already on the schedule, which is good for us. A great litmus test for how we're going to play in the MAC conference tournament. But for me personally, like the fact that we haven't played Fordham in this long, over 20 years, like I called up, it was the officiant of our wedding, but I called him up and I said, "What are we doing? We live 10 minutes away from each other."
So the Fordham coach officiated your wedding?
Yeah. That was Dana's choice. But I think that was a huge key for me, is really playing local. The Hofstra game is huge for us. We've had that going on for years. But getting Fordham back in our gym was critical for me. And then just in general, Princeton, Vermont, Delaware, you're playing these teams. Delaware changed conferences, but they were in that CAA, in that world. To me, that's critical for where we're at, for where we need to see, and where it's going to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, what's the biggest takeaway when you start a scheduling process? Like, what are you looking at to challenge your guys with?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway is who the hell is going to say yes to us? You know what I mean? I think that was critical. We tried to have the PK Bowl against Florida State. They said no. We tried to do a lot of different things, and the key was like the St. John's game was so critical for us because whatever happens in that game, and I think we're gonna have a great chance. I think the way we're playing, the physicality we have, and the maturity of our team, like we're not gonna blink down there. But no matter what happens after that game, I'm gonna say it publicly, we need to play this again. Like we gotta play them every year. Why not? What are we doing? What are they doing if they don't want to play us every year?
They've lost a bunch, that's why they don't want to play you. Yeah,
no question. So we're going to try to put that out there and continue to put that out there. We want to challenge ourselves every year. We want to play those type of teams and those type of games, so our guys need to feel that, and our guys need to be on display in that environment over and over again.
When I look at your coaching staff, not to brag, you scored 1,000 points in college. Your general manager, Craig Moore, he was over 1,000 points. Juice Thompson over 1,000 points, assistant coach. Raul Ramon over 1,000 points. Now I will say this, how many dunks during all those thousands of points? Raul, did you have any? Okay, so Juice, I know you had 0. Craig Moore, I know you haven't touched a net in a long time. Dan, do you have any dunks? You had no dunks. So you have 4 coaches that scored over 1,000 points at the Division I level, high major, with no dunks. I take that as a positive, because that means they had to use this to score. That means they couldn't just rely on just jumping over someone, right? You actually had to think about, how am I going to score against someone that's more athletic? When I saw that, and now I want to take away. Patrick Walsh, stand up, please. Okay.
Come on, stand up.
Average 9 points a game as a Division I player, all right? And Patrick Walsh doesn't have the resume or the height or the athleticism to be a Division I player. But the point of that is you worked your tail off to get to that level. So when you hired your staff, what were you looking at? Was that important to you to have guys that played at a high level?
Yeah, it was it. I mean, I think that was the whole deal. I think our whole staff has former college basketball experience. I think Parker Weiss played here, and then Pat Buckley played at Catholic, and Chris Solney played at Widener. You know what I mean? So all of our guys have former college experience. That was so critical for us because, in all seriousness, being what we want to be in the best player development program in the country, you need to have your assistants be able to be on the floor and be able to really implement what you're after for the big picture. That's why I said, even in my press conference when I said we're going to do this and we're going to be relentless about it, the whole piece of it is because no one else knows how to link it up. We put defensive coverages in, we put offensive plays in during player development in one of those settings that then transition to practice so we don't waste anybody's time. You know what I mean? And that's our whole thing. Like our time is super valuable. We haven't, I mean, you guys can tell them if I'm lying. We haven't practiced more than 2 hours once. And we haven't ran, besides you guys missing free throws, we haven't ran one sprint, right?
So no sprints, no 3-hour practice.
No. And it's because player development is so critical. It's about each individual guy, but our assistant coaches are like masterful. I would say this, they're above expected of what I thought was going to happen. And I think the critical piece is they're like great teachers, great communicators, and that's been able to transition us to practice, which I think helps us build it faster. Like, in my opinion, we were way ahead of LaSalle because they were still looking at like, oh, where's this guy going to fit in? Is this guy good? How does this guy fit? Where our guys know, like from day one, they know all their strengths, right? They know all each other's strengths from day one. That's how we recruit. That's how we want to play to our strengths over and over again.
Yeah, when you look at your schedule, let's dive a little bit into the MAC. There's been teams that have a high retention rate. Is there anyone that maybe our fans should look out for as a game to circle, a must-see game in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're huge rivals with Manhattan, and they're doing a good job. Quinnipiac as the opener is huge for me because they're predicted to win it. You know, and I think this is a critical, you know, I use this word a lot, but this is a critical case study in college basketball, is us this year, right? Iona in the MAC is critical for what's going to happen. The bigger one, the ones for me for NCAA tournament purposes, like at-large bids, is San Francisco and George Washington, because they scheduled a little differently to try and get at-large bids. So that's something I have an eye on for us in the future.
How'd they do that?
They really did like a lot of neutral site games against like quad 2 and quad 1 teams. So they're very intentional with trying to get those while also competing and trying to win their league. I think in my opinion, I think we're going to win the league. I think the whole thing is how do we transition our profile publicly in year 2, year 3, year 4. But for this year, everyone retained in the MAC, and those are the 5 teams that picked above us. We obviously retained Luke Jungers, but we have 12 new players. So I think that's very, very critical for where this whole thing is going. In this room, I believe they retained average to somewhat below average players. We went out and got real dudes. You know what I mean? I think that was the key for what we're after. So that's a big deal for me in this year. And our guys know, like, our foundation is to win the MAC, go to the tournament, win the NCAA tournament game. I said it before the game. LaSalle's standard and intention is to finish 9th in the A-10. So we need to be on that mindset daily here, and I think we are. That's why we're building this foundation.
2 questions. From college,
Yeah.
it's a different landscape. You're managing young men. You're you got first GM in university history. What's it like? Any surprise? Anything challenging?
Challenging, I think challenging is probably we're not playing enough games. We're not playing against enough opponents. We play against each other all the time. We play a lot. You know what I mean? We don't waste a lot of time. I think the biggest thing to me is our resources here are incredible. Like, and having Craig and honestly him being the general manager here and being able to do a lot of the things off the court that are probably what I would be doing at other schools. I wouldn't have taken the job without him. You know what I mean? And I think we've also pushed that forward here as well. So I just think our resources here, like Rich Irving does an incredible job as our, I don't know what his title is. I call him Director of Performance. So that's where I'm at on it. But I think the whole deal is, because he directs me a bit on my performance as well. But I think the whole deal is our resources here are incredible. And that's why I believe what we can do in the years to come and this year right off the bat.
2 more for you. I know I lied. I said 2 more. But
That's
Kevin Hamilton is here,
Yeah.
one of the great players, played for the Celtics. He was my AAU coach as well. We talked about Pat Kennedy, the tradition here. How do you, as the new head coach, kind of the new guy on the block, expect to embrace that tradition? Because Iona has that family-like atmosphere. Turnout's great for homecoming. Like people, and basketball is the sport here.
Yeah. I think it kind of just fit who I am, honestly, too. Like, I'm a very open human. I'm very honest and very transparent in my approach in like life. Fair. But I think the whole deal is that fit with what we're doing, right? That's why like my family's all from Philadelphia and Delaware County, and it's the same idea. Like they came up here, they see it all the time, they feel at home right away. I felt at home very quickly here, and a big thing for me was that openness is what we need to continue to build those bridges all throughout all the tradition, all the year. That's why we open everything up so much. You know what I mean? Craig's always on me. I'm too open. I got too many open practices, too many tip-off things, too many things going on. But the whole deal is like I want everyone to come back. I want everyone to touch back here, have their feet here, see us, understand who our guys are, come up and meet them. They're not bashful. They come up and meet you too. But that's kind of the whole identity of what we want to do. We want to create those bridges. Even as simple as like Scott, we were in our office the other day, Scott Machado came back for homecoming. He's in my office. He's texting me this morning. We're trying to like help him out as well. We can do it spanning all the generations. And that's why I think it's so critical. What we're doing here and our staff and our approach to it is very, very unique.
Last question, I promise, okay? The word sustainability, I stole it from you, okay? Because I heard you say it earlier, so I grabbed that from you. Sustainability, I talked about the roster. There's freshmen, there's sophomores, there's juniors. I don't want the full game plan of sustainability, but when I say that word, what do you think of?
Yeah, I mean, for me, sustainability is the guys that want to be here. You know, I think that's the key. This first kickoff of who we got is what it's going to look like for years to come. You know, I think my thing, sustainability-wise, is it's not going to be like, the previous years just in general where we win a game and that's it and everyone doesn't see any player, you don't see anything or you don't have a player shake your hand or you don't understand what that is. When I played at Richmond, it was so important for us. We kind of did it on our own. We were there for a while. We sustained it. But the whole deal was we got to know the alums. We ended up going on a foreign trip. The alums were with us. It was incredible. Very, very unique experience overall. We're here to bring that to Iona. You're going to know the guys. You're going to know who they are, where they're from. You're going to meet them. We're going to win games. I'm fully expecting to win games and give them their 5 to 10 minutes to do what they got to do in the crowd. That's what they all know where I'm at and what I'm after. That's what I'm used to anyway, so it might as well just do it. We talk, we mingle, we see what's going on. We come in the locker room, we celebrate because all the wins mean a lot, and that's where I'm seeing it. That's sustainability because now you're feeling, and listen, this whole landscape's nuts. I mean, I think this is the third straight year we've had 12 new players, 13 new players for tons of different reasons. The whole deal is we're not going to have 13 new players in the next season, in year 2, year 3, year 4. We're just not going to operate in that way. So to me, it's really understanding sustainability is the players, the development. They know what their path is here. They know exactly what track they're on. I'm not very bashful in my approach. That's where I think the guys feel it here and will enjoy it here, and it's been real. You know what I mean? And we continue to push that forward. But I think the big thing is for our alums and for our fans, you're going to feel them. You're going to really enjoy the conversations. You're going to enjoy how we play. I know that, and that's a big deal for how we push this forward and how this thing really continues to be tradition, winning, and family. That's the only way I know how to do it. That's what we're at.
Dan Geriot, everybody. Couple more things, Matt. I'll turn it back over to you for more housekeeping. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pat. Yes, you got a question?
I have a few questions. Dan, how tall are you?
6'8".
6'8", and you had 1,000 points?
Yeah.
You didn't have one dunk.
I think I was the only starting center. I got 2 stats for that. I think I was the only starting center in the history of college basketball and didn't have a dunk in 1,000 points. Yeah, I know.
Is that official or unofficial?
We'll ask Kevin Humphrey believes it's official. Yes. And then he has another one because he loves to rag on me. I scored 1,000 points as a junior, and the game that I scored 1,000 points, I had 0 against him. So, two unique stats.
Well, to have all those assistant coaches that scored over 1,000 points with no dunks, I think for the team, and I know that you look at Coach Ramon or Craig Moore or the rest of your staff, and you're like, come on, man, you played. Not only did they play, they absolutely maximized the game that they had. Like, all right, maybe Coach Ramon looks more like a player than everybody else, but they maximized their. What's that?
That was supposed to be a joke.
But I think for you guys, you have these resources of guys that have taken their game completely to the max limit. And that was what stood out to me when I went through their college stats. I matched up with a lot of these guys who were about the same age. So what a great learning source for all you guys to learn from. All right, I'll turn it over to Matt.
I'll be brief, and I know we're not using microphones. I don't project quite as well, but I'll do my best. I think a couple key words were said there. I think family is one, and I think that's what has ultimately made Iona so special for me in my more than 20 years here. And I think it would be really fitting to take a moment to recognize the family of our coaches, who are really the rock stars of any successful team. And I recognize, being a family and being a head coach and assistant coaches, you give so much sacrifice and dedication and time, and the nights, the weekends, the constant travel. So the real superstars to the family of our coaches. How about a big round of applause? And again, that word tradition is not one that we take lightly here. And again, you look at the rafters in the gym, it means something to be part of this family. And I could not be more excited about the future of Iona basketball under the direction of Coach Geriot, these amazing assistants, our outstanding GM, our great assistant GM. To see behind the scenes, you would all be really proud. I use the word intentionality a lot because I think success starts with intentionality. You have to have a plan. You have to be intentional about how you use your time, the people you surround yourself, the way you go about your business. This group is incredible. Incredible. And I think most importantly, that's represented by these outstanding young men that you see here. And again, I could not be more proud of the way that they represent, how hard they work. It is all business. And this is going to be a special season. So before I give this award, I just wanted to say a special congratulations and a big good luck to this outstanding group. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Our last award, and it's one that's a long time coming. I've tried to give this gentleman this award probably 4 or 5 different times, but the fact that I couldn't is really a testament to just how busy he is and how much he gives of himself and his time. And there's a number of people who have won this award over the years. It's called the Donald E. Walsh Award. And most of you probably don't know Don Walsh. There are some special people here that know Don. Don was a former Board of Trustee member. He was a benefactor. But more importantly, was somebody who gave so much of himself behind the scenes. And the spirit of this award is about volunteerism and giving of yourself. Not because somebody asked you to, but because you care so deeply in the mission and what it stands for. And Don was certainly one of those incredible people, and in fact, we use this term, the Gold Club, which is kind of the fundraising arm of Iona Athletics. Don started that many years ago just because he wanted to help, and he wanted to help elevate Iona Athletics. And when I think of the word tradition and I think of the word family, there are people here who embody that so much. People like Linda Bruno, people like Jim Hines, Kevin Hamilton, Pat Kennedy, and so many more. These are the people behind the scenes that make Iona special. And that is very much the spirit of this award, because Vin Parisi embodies this award better than maybe anyone I know. I have, in my 20 years, he has showed up in every possible occasion, anytime we've asked, in any possible way. Vin is there with a smile on his face to celebrate Iona, to tell its story. And when you look at his resume, and I'm not going to embarrass him, but he's everywhere, literally everywhere. He is a great community partner. He's the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation here in New Rochelle. He can be seen on almost every TV network, right? He's sidelines at Iona basketball games, representing Iona, telling the story. But more importantly, he's just someone that just says yes, because Iona means something very special to him. And so often he can be found emceeing these events because he's just so gracious and so selfless with his time. And so, in fact, he's one of the first people I met when I got to Iona. And I'll always remember that. And he exuded this excitement about what Iona meant. And I've always remembered that. I've always appreciated that. And so it is truly an honor to be able to recognize somebody who cares so much about Iona. And when you talk about family and tradition, there's no one that represents it better than Vin Parisi. So Vin, congratulations.
Thank you. I think I met Matt at Beachmont, so I never really thought he could get me emotional for 5 seconds. But I just want to say thank you, and it's very weird not emceeing one of these deals. And it's an honor to get this award in Don Walsh's name. Don was a very good friend and mentor to me when I was a young guy in this business. And I'll always bleed maroon and gold. I love Iona basketball. So, I think back to 1996 when I was 18 years old and I went into the former athletic director, Rich Petriccione's office, and told him, I want to work in athletics. What should I do? And I think literally every single great thing that's happened to me in my life since then, whether it's college coaching, Big East basketball, broadcasting, meeting my wife Amy here, and raising our boys like a pitching wedge from campus back behind here, practically on campus. I think every great thing that's happened in my life since then streams back to working in the Iona Athletic Department and the men's basketball program. So I'm pumped for the season. I'm excited to see Coach and you guys in action. I look forward to getting to know all of you throughout the year. I'm a terrible off-season guy, which is why you're seeing me for the first time. I'm a great in-season guy. So I'm excited about that, and it's very. I'm very gracious, Matt. Thank you. It was a little bit. In closing, I was college classmates with Brian Byer. So if anyone's looking for entertaining North Avenue stories afterwards, we're available for Q&A afterwards.
That concludes our evening. It's been awesome meeting everybody, getting to know everybody. Hopefully I'll be at some games this year. I know that St. John's game, I will be out here with bells on, wearing my maroon and gold. It's going to be a gold out that night, right, Coach? So if you're an Iona fan, have your gold on at Madison Square Garden, December 12th. Is that a noon tip?
Noon tip.
Noon Eastern tip at Madison Square Garden. Anyway, have a great night. Thank you so much. Great meeting everybody.